Well, you might be tempted at certain times in your life to think, you know, I want to make a change. I want to do something different. And in this case, let's just talk about your job and your career right now. Well, turns out change just for change's sake might be a big mistake. So I want to talk about the things that you should consider before you make any big changes, and then give you some tips on how to make it happen. Beverly Flaxington is here with us this morning. She's an expert on that, a business advisor that talks about this kind of stuff throughout the country and around the world. So good to see you this morning.
Thank you.
Did I characterize that correctly? And that change for change's sake, if people are just restless with their job or they're not making enough money, just to jump up and change might not be the smartest move.
Well, you're right, Mark, because people will make a change for one of two reasons. Either they're trying to get away from something or they're trying to go to something they want to go to. The problem is a lot of us are trying to move away, and then we move away and we get somewhere and find out, be careful what you wish for, that's not what I wanted.
Yeah, I heard it described one time, and I'm not even sure this is a word. I think that somebody might have made this up, but when I was very young, somebody said the human system is teleological, meaning that it's goal-seeking. And so we tend to do much better when we're moving towards a goal and seeking that goal rather than like running away from something.
That is absolutely right. And the problem you have when the economy is downbeat like it is now is people start to become very focused on what's wrong. And I hate this about my job. I hate that.
Right.
Instead, we need to take a step back and say, well, wait a minute. What do I want? Where do I want to go? And really paint that picture so we're moving towards something that's positive for us.
So you wrote the book. It's called Making Your Shift. And I know there's a lot more in it than just 5 points, but if we have time to even get through 1 or 2 of these 5 points, this might really help focus some people's thinking here this morning.
Yes. So the idea behind shift is, I didn't want to use the word change, because so many of us avoid change. Shift seems like it's a natural evolution. First step in shift, though, is what we're talking about. State your desired outcome. Where do you want to go? What does success look like to you? And not just, well, I want a new job, because that's moving away from. What kind of job? Working with whom? What do you want the culture to be like? Really get into describing what it is.
The more specific you can be in describing that, does it help you attract that kind of information in your world a little bit quicker?
Well, I love your example, the fact that we're goal-seeking.
Right.
The more we can paint that picture, the more clear we can get, the more we start just naturally moving in the direction of what we really want.
And again, it's stating what you want, not what you don't want, what you want out of life.
Although I'll tell you, Mark, there is power in the second step is highlight your obstacles. It's fine. Get your obstacles out there. We do all have them. They're real. Get them out there. Vent all you want. But then organize them. What can I control? What can I influence? What's out of my control? And you know what, Mark? Get rid of those things out of your control. Focus on those things you can do something about.
Isn't that something? Because my partner and I, Heather Myers, we talk about this a lot, about things that we can control, things that we can't control. And even though we have the conversation, it's very difficult to let go of the things that you can't control.
Well, it is, and I think we do tend to get fixated on them, but the problem is it depletes our energy. It's how we get burned out, because it's so demoralizing when we can't do anything.
Yes, let's gripe about something that we can't change.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, it's really absurd when you stop and think about it, and yet, you know, people spend a lot of good energy every day doing just that. So, okay, we can't change that. Let's move on and work on the things that we can change.
Yes.
That's a little more productive.
Yes.
Okay. Gosh, that's only 2 so far. What else?
So the third thing I talk about, the I, is identify the human factor. One of the things also when we're in a downbeat economy, we're demoralized, we're focusing on what we can't change. I forget that I'm good at things. What are my strengths? What do I bring to the table? So to really do a little bit of self-introspection. Remember what I'm good at. What should I be moving towards? Where can I contribute? And getting a little bit of that self-confidence back.
And you love the idea of networking.
I love networking because I've worked with just too many people over the years, Mark, who call me when it's time to do something. Well, have you stayed in touch? Have you talked to people? Do you know what's happening out there in the market? No. Where do I start? So I believe we should network all the time. Keep connected. Know people. Know what's going on out there.
My son works with a very well-known mentor here in San Diego, but he works around the country with the NFL and the NBA and Major League Baseball. And he told my son, when my son went off to college, he says, if you don't pick up that alumni handbook, with all the alumni listed in there and start networking right now. He says, I'm going to come out and smack you. So he was telling him that in his first year in college.
Yes. And your son is very smart to have a mentor, because I think also seeing people who are successful doing what we'd like to do, learn from them, emulate them, do what they do.
We've got to wrap it up, unfortunately, but I'm going to really, again, suggest that folks get the book, Make Your Shift, by Beverly Flaxington. Anything else that we can touch on just in the few seconds we have left?
Just very important, Mark, too, when you figure out what you want to do, break it down into specific steps. Bite size. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that's how you make your shift.
All right. Very good. Pick up a copy of the book, Make Your Shift, and go ahead and do it. There's nothing standing in your way except taking that first step.